Hari Om to all. Welcome to our Tuesday evening Gita. I'm taking this class out of the UK still. I will be back by next week. So let us begin first with our Gita Dhyanam, the first and final verses, and then the opening prayers. Hari Om. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Kratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambattvāmanusandadāmi Bhagavad-gīte bhavattveshinim Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvanti Divyaistavaihi Vede Sangapadakramopaniषदैः Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyanavastita Tatkatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yoginaha Yasyantam na vidussura suraganaha Devaya tasmai namaha Yasyantam na vidussura suraganaha Devaya tasmai namaha Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Dayakaram Dayakaram Dantam Dharma Pravartakam Pranamami Dayanandam Madacharya Varam Param Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Hari Om, welcome to our class. We were seeing the third chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Here, Krishna was discussing the Karma Yoga topic in more depth. Then we also saw the Loka Sangraha topic of how a wise person will act with the knowledge in the world. So everything a wise person does will always be for benefit of society, for the upliftment of society. The whole problem here, we see the fundamental problem of the human being is the identification with doership. The identification, thinking that I am the doer of actions, will always make me feel an experiencer of the results of action. And this cycle of doing and experiencing is what is called samsara, the life of becoming. Because when I'm trapped in that cycle, I cannot stop seeking and I become lost in that cycle. So the ignorant ahankara, which is the egoic sense of individuality, is invested all over the place. We make a mistake, as the Shastra points out, on basic 5 levels, the Panchakoshas are not sheets that cover the Atma. They are errors the I commits on 5 levels. When the I identifies with the physical body, I say I am fat, I am thin, I am tall, I am short. You take on the attributes of physical body and lump it on that I. When you say I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I'm sick, I'm diseased, I'm ill, you are identified with the pranamaya kosha or the pranic sheath. And of course, you have the manas identification, which is very close. All the desires, I desire this, I like this, I don't like this, all the fancies of the mind, and also all the emotions, the manomaya kosha. I get disturbed. I say, I am disturbed. I am restless. Why? Because you lump all the attributes of the mind onto that I. Another level of mistake. Vijnanamaya kosha also, taking yourself to be the intellect. I am intelligent. I know so much. All of these, again, the attributes of the intellect lumped on I. And the final mistake we make is taking ourselves to be, to be happy from time to time. That is Anandamaya Kosha mistake. It is a mistake because the happiness that I experience is not true happiness, but pleasure. So whenever I feel that the pleased self manifest, then in that moment I'm identified with Anandamaya Kosha and I say, I am happy, I feel content, I feel happy. That is a brief identification. We love to have it permanently, but it is not there because it is dependent on a certain thought form for that happiness to arise, that pleasure to arise. Whereas the Tattvavit, we'll see, in this verse that's following, the knower of the truth, he does not have this temporary identification with Ananda, with his limitlessness. He knows his essence is limitless. He does not need limitless from anything external. He doesn't need to discover it in external. So Bhagavan says in the 20th verse, Tattva vittu mahabaho gunakarma vibhagayoho guna guneshu vartante iti matva na sajjate. Tu, Bhagavan says, whereas, contrasting from the previous verse, tattvavit. Tattvavit means tattvam veti iti tattvavit, the one who knows the truth. Truth of what? There is only one truth. When you say truth, there cannot be two truths. Truth is truth. And that one truth is what? That I am full, I am limitless, I am that pure consciousness which transcends that I, that individuality that I take myself to be. So here, Tattvavit is one for whom this ahankara, the egoic sense of individuality has become alankara. There's a beautiful word in Sanskrit. Ahankara has become alankara. Alankara means decoration. So the ahankara, which used to bother you so much before, has become like a decoration, embellishment in your life, not a burden because you're limited and you're free. That is the symbolism of Shiva and all the snakes around him, right? If you see the pictures of Lord Shiva, he has snakes coiled around his neck, around his arm, everywhere. Snakes represent the egos, ahankaras. And because of knowledge, what has Lord Shiva done? He has defanged and depoisoned the snakes. So those harmless snakes are worn like jewelry on the Lord because they are defanged and depoisoned. So this is the idea here. He is a tattvavit. He knows the truth of himself. And Bhagavan says, Mahabaho to Arjuna, the mighty armed one. He wants Arjuna to feel his greatness, to understand who he is. Gunakarma vibhagayoho. This tattvavit knows the modifications of Prakriti. Prakriti is the nature, the material cause of the universe is called Prakriti. And we saw in the previous verses, this Prakriti modifies to become the body, mind, sense complex. So here, Guna Karma Vibhaga Yoho means this wise person knows the modifications of nature into the body, mind, sense complex. And Karma Vibhaga means the actions done by the body, mind, sense complex. So these gunas, this material cause for the whole universe modifies into the instruments of perception, into the instruments of action. And what Bhagavan is saying now is they themselves engage in activity. You don't have to do anything. They are themselves engaged with the five sense objects. Eyes go out to form and color. The ears go out to objects of sound. Tongue goes out to objects of taste. Skin goes out to objects of touch. And nose, power of smell, goes out to objects of fragrance or smell. So this Tattvavit knows that this nature, this what is made from nature, engages in the natural transactional reality by itself, modification of Prakriti. Even the thoughts and the vrittis that arise in the mind are only due to nature. So where do they come from? Sometimes people ask, where do my thoughts come from? I didn't ask the thoughts to come. So here Bhagavan says these are all because of Prakriti, because of your nature, the karma also you're born with. These thoughts manifest in your mind. Certain thoughts, sometimes they may be peaceful, sometimes disturbed, sometimes very happy, sometimes sad. All of these thoughts that come up are actually because of Prakriti. So here Krishna says, iti matva na sajjate. Because the jnani, the tattvavit in this verse, knows everything is happening as because of nature, Bhagavan says he is not identified with the modifications of this physical body or with what the physical body does. Amazing. He is like a witness to his own physical body. He does not get involved in doership at all. So the body, mind, senses, how does he, he knows the body, mind, senses is acting according to an order, and that order is Ishvara's order. What will happen, will happen. And his I thought is recognized as false. It is like a costume he wears. So here now Krishna praises that Tattvavit who knows the gunas and the modifications. Now in the next verse, he cautions, as though he cautions the wise not to confuse others who still think of themselves as doers. Don't go around and confuse them. Why is Krishna giving this advice? Let us see. Prakriter guna sammudaha sajjante guna karmasu tana kritsna vido mandan kritsna vinna vichalayet. So kritsna vinna vichalayet. A wise person should not disturb the otherwise. Let them be. In fact, a jnani, a wise person, will not disturb others. So why is Krishna giving him advice? It's not a command to a wise person to be in a certain way. What Krishna is saying, we should be very clear. He is highlighting the qualities of a enlightened person. Enlightened person will not go around preaching about jnanam, will not start, like in Hyde Park in England, you have the speaker's corner. So everybody is, anybody who wants to say anything will go to that corner, put themselves on a box, stand up and yell to everybody else, whatever. There are so many people speaking there in speaker's corner. So a jnani will not need to go to speaker's corner and say, jnanam is the only way, don't do karma. That is what Bhagavan is saying. A wise person will always act for societal upliftment and bring out the best in the rest. So he is not going to put them down. He won't criticize them. He himself, we have seen, will become an example for everybody else. He is not going to question, why are you going to pray to temples? Why? There's no such thing as Ishvara. There is only one consciousness. He will encourage people to do karma, encourage people to pray. He will encourage people to get that antahkarana shuddhi, the purity of mind necessary for atma jnanam. So prakritehe gunehi sammudaha. Those who are deluded with reference to prakriti gunas, which means those who are deluded with reference to the modifications of nature, they take their self to be the body, mind, sense complex because they can't see the difference between Atma and the body, mind, sense complex. Of course, Atma pervades the body, mind, senses, but at the same time, it is untouched by the attributes of the body, mind, senses. This is the whole key there. That level of discriminative analysis they don't have. So what is it they feel? If the body, I am doing, the body nature is going along in a certain way that I identifies with it, Vibhudhatma, and the I gets again the results of whatever is happening. So I am as good as the body, mind, sense complex is the sammudaha. Because whatever happens to the mind, I feel it happening to me. Especially when something not so nice happens to the mind, it's in a bad mood. What do I say? I am in a bad mood. I never say the mind is in a bad mood. That is the real knowledge. To understand the mind is an instrument, mind is in a bad mood. I am not in a bad mood. I am not touched by the mind. So mandan means those, manda actually means stupid, actually, fool, the foolish ones. But here in the Shastra, we have to understand non-discriminative people. They don't know the distinction between Atma and Anatma, and they are asleep to the knowledge. We saw in the previous verse, in second chapter, Yanisha Sarva Bhutanam, the ones who are asleep to this knowledge. It is night for them, actually, this knowledge. So they are also, Krishna says here, akritsna vidaha, which means they don't know themselves clearly. They don't know anything about themselves. So they're always result orientated in their life. They only act for results. They don't know who is the actor. They don't ask why do we act? Why are we performing actions? We're doing it for happiness, satisfaction. They don't even ask what do we get from every result of action? Are we getting what we want? They don't ask such profound question, because what they do is activity. Do all the time. Result, eye on the result. So whole world is driven like that. Bhagavan says here, these people they're deluded, they're mandan, they're foolish, losing their time, wasting their life. So now Krishna has concluded the topic of Loka Sangraha, which is the contributive life of a jnani, and he gives the essence of karma yoga in a nutshell to finish this topic also. It's a very beautiful verse. He says here, Mayi sarvani karmani sannyasyatyatma chetasa nirashir nirmamo bhutva yudhyasva vigatajvaraha. A very, very beautiful verse. All components of karma yoga are put in this final verse that he uses to explain karma yoga. So it is a very important verse. And with reference to action, Krishna says, Sarvani karmani mai adhyatma chetasa sanyasya, offering all actions unto that order of Ishvara. He himself is asking for the commitment of everybody. He uses the word mai. In me, surrender all your activities. In me, offer all your activities. Renunciation really begins with here, actually. So the renunciation is that thought, may my actions be pleasing to the one, to the Lord, to the universe, whatever, to that altar of divinity. May my actions become pleasing to that one. May my actions serve that one. How? He says, Adhyatma Chetasa, which means keeping moksha in your view, keeping moksha as the goal, keeping this liberation from this sorrow, life of sorrow, freedom from this life of limitation, life of inadequacy, of dissatisfaction. Keeping that in mind, you are committed to Atma, committed to discovering. So your karma, he says, becomes very important when it's transmuted into doing what is to be done, not going after what you like to do. So this is what Krishna again emphasizes. This you're in harmony with the total when you do what you have to do, not do always what you like to do, because your destination is clear. Your path is clear. He has made it clear. Spiritual success, he can be yours when you follow this lifestyle and your mind gets purified. And once you gain the knowledge, what is the manifestation of spiritual success? To be, very simple. Actually, it is not something great and profound like sometimes you see in the movies, or read in the books. Some kind of big light appears, when you get enlightenment, light bulbs start shining from all over you, or something happens. There's no great happening in enlightenment. It is very, very simple. What is enlightenment? To be able to be with yourself, not to reject yourself. That is simple enlightenment. You feel fine just to be yourself. So Krishna says here, Mahi. And this word is very telling, because first time Krishna is talking in the first person in the Gita. He is talking as Ishvara, the sustainer, the creator, sustainer, and dissolver of this universe. He has not mentioned himself as I so far, equated himself with that role so far, but he says, unto me, renounce your activities. Sannyasya. Sannyasya means give up. What do you really give up? Do we really understand what it means to give up actions? Give up actions unto Ishvara. What does that mean? It's not really physically giving up karma. We know that. You have to keep acting. So giving up actions to Ishvara means you mentally renounce your likes and dislikes in the altar of Ishvara. So I offer this action. I don't like to do this action. It is not something I enjoy doing, but it is to be done. So immediately when I offer it to Ishvara, what happens? It gets converted to an offering, and it gets converted to the renunciation, the giving up of your like to do something. So what you're really giving up is the like to do something. The mind wants you, your body, mind, senses to follow, right? Whatever the thought is. But this is not the right thing to do. Let me do what is right. That is called giving your actions to Ishvara. And Ishvara is that total order alone of karma and dharma. So mental renunciation of the fruits of actions is also this giving up. I give up my attachment to things happening the way exactly as I want, or things I don't like. I give up the attachment to things not happening. So all of these attachments that we have to future results, we are renounced at the altar when I do my worship. So this is another very telling thing here in this verse. We cannot avoid Ishvara discussion in Vedanta. There are many, many neo-Vedantins who skip over Ishvara. Our teacher, Swami Dayananda Saraswati, always said to us, we can never skip over Ishvara and go straight to consciousness. Because where do we resolve all our emotions? Where do we resolve our day-to-day living? It is in Ishvara's order alone we can resolve all of these things. And the understanding of the Jagat is Ishvara. He is the form of this cosmic order. So with this knowledge that I have from the teachings, no duty is seen as unpleasant. What I have to do, I don't see as unpleasant. Why? Because it is an offering. Every role I have to play in my life. Maybe I don't like the role. I may have to play a mother role. I may have to play a sister role. I may have to play a daughter-in-law role. I may have to play a mother-in-law role. Every role I play, employer, employee, so many roles we have. I never give up the roles. I put in 100% into all the roles that are given to me. I give as an offering. I renounce my likes and dislikes unto the altar of the one Ishvara. Then when I do this, all my work becomes worship. And along with this verse, Krishna gives three very beautiful words. He says, Nirashihi, without hopes for things to happen in a certain way. Nirashihi means, we always think, oh, I'm so hopeful. I want hope. We survive on hope because we want situations to be a certain way, right? Hope means I am wishing for something to go my way. That is called hope. I'm wishing for something to go my way. Nirashihi, Krishna saying here for a karma yogi means I am without hope for things to happen only in a certain way because my mind is prepared for all types of result. That is the real renunciation. I have given my best, you do the rest. That is renunciation. I have given 100%. I have given my best. Oh Lord, you do the rest. So this is nirashihi. I do expect something, I do expect some fruits, but when they don't go my way, I am nirashihi. I am content. I don't dream of something else changing in future. Then the next word he uses is nirmama. No feeling of I did this. After you offer your activities to Ishvara, there is no feeling of my accomplishment. I did this. I should have acknowledgement of this. I am not responsible for my successes and so-called failures. Is the internet working? Yeah. So this, again, nirmama, very beautiful word. When everything is given, where is mine? Where is the sense of mine? I am only a trustee with all that has been given to me. So I can take credit for my hard work. There's no harm in taking credit. I can take credit, I can pat myself on my back, but Vigata Jwaraha uses the third word here, without fever. I'm not so desperate for things to happen or not happen. So I don't lose my balance when when things don't go my way. I don't falter. I don't get disappointed. I remain very objective, knowing that he knows best. So the whole key here, the line is acceptance in failure, humility in success. I learned to avoid this frustration and anger because I live with this line, acceptance in failure, humility in success. And with this advice, Krishna says, Yudhyasva, oh Arjuna, get up, fight. He means act in life in a way that it goes along with what is to be done. So your attitude is your swakarma. What you have to do, you do. So now with this verse, Krishna concludes the topic of Karma Yoga. He has summed up a very beautiful topic in a whole verse here and given the attitude of offering and of acceptance of results in this 30th verse of the third chapter. Very important verse, very good to memorize as well and remember as we live our lives. So Krishna now says, very interesting topic now. What happens if you follow his teachings? And of course, we have seen this contrasting verses. Krishna also says, what happens if you don't follow his teachings? So let's see. He says, Ye me matamidam nityam anutishtanti manavaha shraddhavanto nasuyantaha muchyante tepi karmabihi. Tepi muchyante karma bihi. Those who follow this karma yoga lifestyle that I have been talking about, they are also freed from this karmic cycle eventually by gaining knowledge. Negating doership means gain of knowledge, but they use the activities in life to purify their mind, body, senses. He says they are freed from this cycle, karma bihi, they're freed from the cycle of karma. And there is nothing more to be done eventually for such people. Tasya karyam na vidyate. Like for a wise person, he is no longer bound by this jagat chakra, which is the wheel of this life. Wheel of life, he has dropped out of it. He can choose to participate in it, but he doesn't need to. And Bhagavan says, me matam, which means this is my vision. It is not an opinion. Some people say, translate that matam as opinion. Now, if Bhagavan has an opinion, somebody else can have another opinion, right? So opinions can override other opinions. You can't override Krishna's opinion. It is not an opinion. It is vision. Me matam means what is established by me. This is what is established by me. This teaching of mine regarding karma, activities in the world, and jnana, which is knowledge. Nityam anutishtanti manavaha, which means those who always follow this teaching. It is all about the attitude, because when you say nityam, it is maintaining the attitude of gratitude. Nityam means all the time. We cannot practice karma yoga just 1 week in a month. This is my karma yoga week. The rest of the 3 weeks I will have just pleasure-filled week. And we cannot, it is continuous, it is a committed practice. So it is all about the attitude. And Krishna uses that word, anutishtanti, which means well established in this practice. And it does not matter what activity you do. You can be a janitor, you can be a CEO, you can be a gardener, any activity or employment you have. Nothing is low or high in the spiritual field. The society may judge, this is a blue collar job, this is a very high profile job. Societies could judge, but Krishna doesn't judge by the activity. He sees the attitude behind the action. So whenever you're in action, he says, follow this attitude with shraddhavantaha. He uses a specific word here, with total shraddha in what I say. So this word shraddha comes all over the Gita and in many, many of the scriptures. It is an untranslatable word in English, actually. But if you want to understand it with the language, we can loosely say it is a deep faith in the veracity of Krishna's words, or in the veracity of the person you have Shraddha in. So Shraddhavantaha are the people who take Krishna's words as a means of knowledge. Just as you trust your eyes to reveal form and color, you trust the words of the Bhagavad Gita to give you a way of life to improve yourself. Because what is the Shraddha that you have? What is the faith you have? Krishna means the best for me. What Krishna is saying is for our own good, for our own growth. He is not saying for himself. Because Krishna, what agenda does he have to give us the Gita teachings? There's no agenda. So Vishvasaha, Guru Vedānta Vakyeshu Vishvasaha iti Shraddha. There is a definition in Tattva Bodha of this word Shraddha, and it is having a deep relaxation. Vishvasaha means relax in the knowledge that you receive from the teacher. Just let it work over you. Understand, you don't need to really do anything. Once you imbibe that knowledge, things will happen automatically. Then he uses another word for such people who follow his teachings. Very interesting word. Anasuyantaha. Anasuyantaha actually means without criticizing. Don't criticize Krishna. See, Guneshu dosha darshanam. Guneshu, it's this asuya, there's a word in Sanskrit which is the opposite of anasuya. Asuya means Guneshu dosha darshanam, seeing the negative and the positive. We are very good at doing that. We find fault where there is no fault. If we do it, everybody has a way of doing it. Gossip is asuya actually based. When we think about gossiping, we thrive on comparison and criticism of others. Why? If somebody is doing a lot of charity, will many people say, oh, wonderful, he's doing so much charity? No, he's trying to show off. He wants to be number one. He wants everybody to recognize what he's doing. These thoughts may come up. I'm not saying for everybody, but that is asuya. It is driven by a certain jealous feeling. I'm not doing it. Others are doing it. So criticize. All criticism actually stems from jealousy. It sounds very harsh, but if we look into it, there is something that I appreciate in the other, but I'm not able to take what they do. So we have to understand that when one finger points to the other person, how many fingers are pointing back at me? 3 are pointing back at me. Look into our own selves. So this anasuyantaha are people who don't find fault with Krishna's teachings. They're not like going to say, what is he talking about? Why should I take to a life of karma yoga? So this is not the ideal attitude to have. And Krishna uses Gurau Parameshware, which means finding fault in Krishna as a teacher or finding fault with the one who teaches. Because the teacher has a vision for the long term. Teacher knows what is good for the shishya, for the student. So Krishna warns people even here. They shouldn't, one should keep off or ward off negative reactions to the teaching. The mind could actually reject, this karma yoga. Who is this Krishna? I don't believe that he is avatara. That's okay. I don't believe, somebody is saying he's incarnation. Why should I believe why should I listen to all of these teachings in Bhagavad Gita? Why should I follow his words? Anasuyantaha are people who don't have these doubts. They understand that Krishna is Ishvara, that order, coming to give us a knowledge. That Anasuyantaha mind will be one that focuses only on the positives. Because Anasuyantaha people see karma yoga is given as a lifestyle to reduce stress, strain, anxiety. In today's modern day, this is the only way to reduce stress, strain, and anxiety. Otherwise, we are always, heading for nervous breakdowns the way people are going. Children nowadays have worse mental health than in any time in humanity's, history. We see the mental health of children also going down because burdened with so much, so much information, bombarded with social media, all of this, and no respect for tradition, culture, or even for any form of, divinity. Children are lost. So here, Bhagavan says, Anasuyantaha, those people will be successful. Now, he says the opposite. What happens to those who don't follow the teachings? What happens to those who live their lives purely for self-interest, for themselves only? He says, Ye tve tadabhyasuyantaha nanutishtanti me matam sarvajnana vimudhanstan viddhi nashtana chetasaha. Bhagavan says very clearly here, understand such people to be lost cases. Lost cases. Ye tu viddhi nashtantan. These people are as good as lost on the earth because body, mind, senses may be moving around on this earth, but they don't really exist because they are directionless. They are driven only by their ragas and dveshas, likes and dislikes. So they succumb to the sense pleasures continuously. It is good as living a non-existent lifestyle, actually. So Bhagavan is very, very strong here. He says these people are totally deluded. Vibhudatma, he had said in previous verse, they don't know what is right from what is wrong. What is wrong looks like right, and what is right looks like wrong for such people. And they don't have a clue about the goal of human existence. They don't care about Ishvara. They don't care about the Lord. All they want to do is to live out feeding their senses and enjoying pleasures. So Bhagavan says such cases are lost cases. Abhyasuyantaha means they will always find some sort of criticism with the scriptures or with this way of life. They will criticize me. Krishna is probably saying about himself, why should I follow this Krishna? I am happy to live the way I am. I'm not interested in these teachings. Even if these teachings are available, how many people do we see coming to Bhagavad Gita teachings? amongst the population of mankind, 8 billion or whatever on this planet, how many people actually come, even if the teachings are available? Because they are vimudhas, they're deluded in various ways, they're deluded. And in all aspects, because of the delusion, they are destroyed, lost souls. Lost souls is the best word in English. They're wandering aimlessly, directionlessly, and will die off like that, to be reborn in another body, to wander again aimlessly and directionlessly, until one day that, that punya takes place, the spiritual punya, to say, hey, hang on, wait a minute, what am I doing with my life? And that wake-up call will come for each jiva, one lifetime or another. Krishna says, achetasaha, they are avivekis. They have no discernment in their lives. Nothing they can accomplish fully. So if they don't see the value of Bhagavan's teachings, they are not going to do what is the right thing to do. And they have no qualms in transgressing dharma or the ethical lifestyle. Na anutishtanti, they do not follow my teachings because the ahankara, that sense of individuality, knows everything. Also, they think, I know better. I don't need to bow to a higher power. We see many of such people, YouTube, we see a lot of people in this kind of field, but they don't want to, they don't have this idea of the greatness of this whole universal order. Some people even think this universe is randomly created. It has come into existence through randomness. I mean, anything you take, if you have a little bit of brain, you can see there's intelligence everywhere you look. So such people will not acknowledge, they don't want to acknowledge anything like a Ishvara, something superior, or even this orders. So another life gets wasted. They keep wandering around this earth like a lost soul, losing another opportunity to gain the limitless. Etat me matam means in my vision, which means this is my truth. It is the truth of the teaching. If you live your life with the teachings I have offered, you will make it. You will find the purpose of your life and discover the fullness that you were born to discover. Other hand, if you don't follow my teachings, then lost soul is your lot. So we can choose. Krishna doesn't say you have to do this or that. Now, very interesting, he says in this verse, the topic of free will. How much can I actually decide in life? So this is a very interesting topic because the questions are always asked, how far does destiny go and where is the role of free will in life? So this verse answers that. Sadrisham cheshtate swasyaha prakrite jnanavanape prakritim yanti bhutani nigrahak kim karishyati. So one should know where one's nature ends and where one's free will begins, but we don't know that clearly. So this section now, following section, few verses, will give clarity on seeing the difference between destiny and free will. So Prakriti, we have seen in the previous verses, is the nature we are born with. So this nature we have to understand is not the true nature. We differentiate the nature of the body, mind, sense complex, which is the superficial personality, that costume that you wear, from the true nature, which is Atma, the essence of all, limitless consciousness. So what nature Krishna is talking about in these consequent verses is Prakriti, which is your body, mind, senses. Prakriti modified has become this body, mind, senses, whereas Atma is the same for all. Krishna says, Swasyaha prakritehe sadrisham cheshtate. Everybody on this planet functions in keeping along with their nature. So we have seen that idea in the previous verse. Whatever is your nature, what is a nature? What is this nature of everybody? So Shankaracharya gives us an enlightening statement to explain nature, this superficial nature. Whatever your punya or papa karmas, whatever you have created, this punya, which is pleasant results, which will manifest for you, unseen results for future, or unpleasant results, which can manifest for you as unpleasant situations, which are also unseen. You have done these karmas, either karmas in line with dharma or not in line with dharma, going against ethical norms. So we do these type of actions in line with dharma, not in line. So we create punya and papa, we know that. And when we create these punya, papa karmas, we create what we call vasanas. So vasanas are certain habits that we create throughout lifetimes. So you can see that actually, even in children, suddenly they're born, playing the piano. Some 3-year-old is playing Mozart's, Moonlight Sonata or something like that. And you think, how this child can play this piano? Or some child that, sings all the ragas in music, in Indian music. It can identify all the different modalities of music. Just like that, you sing something. How do we explain that? This is what has been with me in past life. So Krishna is talking now about carry over. Now, today, what I am is a combination of past. Many likes and dislikes I manifest in this life are not from this life, they're from past lives. So this is a very interesting thing because we carry over, we bring forward what we call vasanas, and that is what makes our prakriti, our nature. So everybody, Krishna is saying, acts in this world controlled by their natures. I can't do anything about it. That's what he's saying here. Remember verse 27 of this chapter. Prakrite kriyamanani gunaih karmani sarvashaha. Actions are performed in various ways, impelled by the gunas of Prakriti, the body, mind, senses. So the actions are impelled by what you have done in your past, which has made the vasanas in you, those habitual thinking, habitual actions, habitual way you speak, they have made it. So everyone keeps with their Prakriti, everybody functions. Personalities we can see developing from an early age. 2-year-old, as I said, manifest. So these are called natural tendencies in English. And these natural tendencies are given. That's why they're natural. Some tendencies are cultivated. That's different. But natural tendencies are given. Now the question comes, am I stuck with what I'm born with? This is the question people have. Are we stuck with what we are born with? Krishna is going to answer that in the next verse very more elaborately. But Krishna says in this verse, Jnanavanapi, which means a wise person also behaves according to his prakriti, his nature. A wise person or the otherwise, wise person's prarabdha, his karma that is to be exhausted in this life, will continue, and it is based on his nature, how he lives. So some wise people may, according to the nature, they may sit in a cave and meditate the rest of their life. They don't need to have any interaction with anyone. Some wise people may be in the thick and thin of activity in the world, but they are still free inside, but that is also their nature. So the nature that they manifested before Jnanam will also follow on after Jnanam. A Jnani, Krishna says, Jnanavanapi, a Jnani's life is also governed by the personality he has developed. So but the Jnani's personality will always act according to dharma, because to achieve Jnanam, to gain that assimilation of knowledge, he has to have lived a life of dharma. So he cannot transgress dharma suddenly after knowledge. This is also important. Although Prakriti, nature, drives his activities, he is free. So Bhagavan says here, Tasmat Prakritim Yanti. All people everywhere in all the world are driven by their vasanas, their likes and dislikes. Nurture, we talk about two things in science, you may have heard, nurture and nature. Nurture is what the karma is unfolding in this life. We call that nurture, because you cannot choose your parents. You cannot choose the environment that you were born into. That is nurture. You're put there, okay? That is your karma. You're put in a certain situation. Along with nurture, you come along with this nature, prakriti. So prakriti drives your actions, what Krishna is saying in the past few verses. Your nurture may not be able to be shifted. Very difficult sometimes to get out of situations where you're born into and the situations, but nature is malleable. This is the beauty of it. Nature is malleable. Your nature can also be affected by your nurture. Your nurture can also affect your nature. So when people say, what makes a person, Shastra, Krishna makes it very clear, your nurture, which is your destiny, what you are brought up with, your nature is something that can be changed. You can use your free will. Nature is also the destiny, what you bring with you, that vasanas is also part of your destiny, but you can use your free will to change your nature. And knowing this fact about Prakriti, if you understand really, we are born with this intrinsic, vasanas, that's natural tendencies we come with. You can understand others also better. You can first understand yourself well, not blame yourself. Why am I thinking like this? Why do I have this? I shouldn't have this. I shouldn't have that. I don't criticize because this is the way Bhagavan has given this nature. I can't help it. But I can, with knowledge, make some changes if I see. We'll see in the next verse as well. But understanding that you can't criticize yourself, this verse helps you accept your destiny. This is my body, mind, sense complex. What I have come with is what I have been given. And also to understand others, they have come along with certain tendencies also. They have been born with some given tendencies, and they may have developed childhood tendencies. This sometimes childhood, as I said, the nurture can affect your nature. So people manifest according to childhood, their nature gets developed as well more. They bring along their own tendencies, and then as they grow up, you develop more tendencies because it's habit, right? Tendencies are only habits that you keep using your free will again and again. You create tendencies. Nobody else creates tendencies for you. So samskaras can be in two ways: right or wrong actions done. If you repeatedly do in wrong action, you create a samskara for that, a vasana. If you keep doing right action in accordance with dharma, you create a vasana for that. So prakriti, what we understand is your script in life. Your script, your baggage. You're born with a certain baggage. It is karana shariram baggage. But Krishna also says here, nigraha kim karishyati. What is the use of suppressing your nature? Can you control your nature? This is a very important line because it should not be mistranslated, misused. Sometimes people don't understand it properly. Why is he saying this? He's saying you can't control your nature because, suppression is harmful. You can't suppress what you're born with. There is nothing wrong with what you have because you've carried it over from previous lives. If it is, however, we will see, making your present life difficult, and you see it is not a healthy pattern of thinking, then you can use your free will in that direction to change that habit. So repression, there are two words here. What is the difference? Repression is when you unconsciously block unwanted thoughts or impulses. That is unconsciously blocking unwanted thoughts and impulses. But suppression is worse because it is entirely voluntary. You are deliberately trying to forget or not think about painful or unwanted thoughts. That is suppression. And Bhagavan says here, nigraha kim karishyati. Don't suppress your nature because it's going to blow up one day. So don't suppress who you are, because if you keep suppressing manifestation of who you really are, it will blow up in forms of anger. And life is not about forcing anything. There are certain natural urges. That is also part of the swabhava. You cannot suppress. You can manage or regulate, but don't suppress. Nigraha kim karishyati. So, very, very telling sentence there. What can I do? What can I control? Bhagavan is saying you don't need to control. You need to understand yourself. That is the beauty of this verse. Then a doubt may come in people's minds. If I can't do anything to control my nature, what's the point? If I can't do anything to control my nature, if I'm just driven by natural impulses or the gunas, why study Gita? Why learn all this? What is the point? Can I not just live out all my thoughts, what my thoughts dictate me to do? Why don't I just follow and live out my life? So, this verse, as I said, is very dangerous if it is taken out of context. Shankaracharya again helps us clarify here. The idea is not to show that Prakriti cannot be changed. Then there is no point in Krishna's teaching here. If Krishna is saying Prakriti cannot be changed, the Gita is useless. The teaching is useless. He's not saying that. He wants to say it is very difficult. It is not impossible, but it is tough. Prakriti, nature that you are born with, is durnigraha. It is very tough, but it can be changed. Where does my nature end and where does my free will begin? That is the question now. And Bhagavan says there is a way to know, there is a way out. He explains in the next verse, and he tells us why Prakriti is so powerful. He tells us about the conditions of the nature being powerful and how our free will can get involved now in transmuting certain things which we wish to transmute. We will see that more next time we meet. Hari Om. Wish you all a very Ishvara-filled evening again. We will finish with our closing prayers. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Namaste to all.